felt a little powerless because we'd done what we could to assess her, but there wasn't anything else we could do.
She was a non-smoker, non-diabetic, and she's 40 years old. What could go wrong? And all of a sudden, she falls down and has had potentially catastrophic neurological event.
Time is of the essence. What if she had wandered off and gotten back to where nobody was around?
She had her whole left side of her brain, her future, everything at risk.
So here I am at a campground, 4th of July, and I'm thinking to myself, where am I? Julie needs some attention. What should I do?
There's a group of us that went to school together, and we just decided we should really get together in summer and go camping or just do something, fishing, whatever it is. So we've been doing that for a few years.
Julie's my high school sweetheart. Dated since we were 15 years old, and Julie went off to college. We got her through, and we got married. She just enjoys life, enjoys nature, breathing the fresh air, working in her garden, planting flowers, making our house a home. She's got a wonderful sense of humor and just a fun-loving person to be around.
This year, in particular, we decided to go up to Lake Solberg up by Phillips, and it was 4th of July weekend, which is a really crazy busy weekend. We got our stuff together. It was Wednesday. It was after work, and I was starting to get packing stuff together, and started getting a headache.
And we were trying to get things packed up and ready, and she just was not feeling well. I could see that, and she just flat out told me she's going to bed, and I thought, obviously something really is not going well.
I stayed in bed till about noon. I got up and I finished packing stuff up, got food together, clothes together, and all that. And Dan got home, and we started driving north, and we got up there, unpacked things and set up camper. Everybody else was up there already, and sat around the campfire, and I drank a big bottle of Gatorade. It was a good time. We were giggling, and it was fun. Went to bed that night. Next morning, woke up and had a cup of coffee. We had breakfast. My sister-in-law, she made us breakfast over the fire, so she was all excited about that, and everything was great. And I thought, well, it was the morning of the 4th of July, and I said, let's me and the kids, we're gonna go down by the water and go try and catch frogs or look for, find some fish and stuff. So we're walking along the sand. I just had a weird feeling. So I started walking toward the campsite, and I completely crashed. The camper was about 50 feet away from me, but I couldn't get up. And I thought, oh, this is not good. I remember Sarah coming by me and kneeling down by me and saying, Julie, what's the matter? And I'm just like, because I can't talk. I remember I can see the leaves blowing in the trees. Next thing I knew, I saw a cop, and there were 3 gals sitting around me, and they were trying to get my sunglasses off.
One of the ladies that we were camping with, she ran up to me. She said, you need to get over here. Something's going on with Julie. And I had no idea what was going on. Got over there by her. She's sitting up on the ground. She had a group of people around her. She could not communicate with us. She'd look at me, and she had her sunglasses on, and she wanted to keep her sunglasses on like something was hurting her eyes, I thought.
I was on the playground with my sister-in-law, and we were there with all the kids playing. The first thing we noticed was a police car pulling into the campground up to the beach, and we kind of thought, well, that's odd. And then we saw him get out, and my sister-in-law and even my husband was at that point coming over because he was closer to the beach, saying, I think something's wrong.
They were monitoring what was going on with Julie before the ambulance even got there.
Normally, if somebody's in shock, you lay them flat and you lift their legs. But the thought being, what if she's having a stroke? Do we really want to put her head down if she's hemorrhaging? So I said, well, let's just wait as long as she's still conscious and her blood pressure is stable and she's not, truly going into shock symptoms. Let's not lay her down just in case.
Once the ambulance got there, the ambulance crew was very good at doing what they had to do. They got her loaded into the ambulance, and we headed into Park Falls. We had gotten her into a room there, and we were met by Dr. Carpenter there.
You hang around trauma people and stroke people, you hear them talk about the golden hour. Well, in Park Falls, the golden hour, might not even find them for an hour. That first hour is oftentimes spent out of the hospital. In her case, her timing was immaculate. Her timing was immaculate. It was the middle of the day. The weather was good. The afternoon thunderstorms hadn't come in.
He did a quick assessment of what was going on with her. He told me, he says, we're gonna run some tests here.
Putting in lines, we're assessing her. Definitely looks like a stroke. Boom, down the hall to the CAT scanner. And in the CAT scan, she gets worse. She gets worse in the CAT scan. And I know there's a stroke, no bleed. I can see some findings that we associate what's called a middle cerebral artery sign. I see that, I see no bleed, and she's worse. So I go back to the ER and I say, start mixing the drugs.
At that time, Dr. Carpenter had talked to me about confirming that they felt she's having a stroke and that they wanted to administer the TPA to her. The hardest decision I've had to make in my life, because Dr. Carpenter told me that the TPA drug helps a lot of people, but he wanted me to know there's some people that will not survive. I'm there at a hospital in Park Falls, Wisconsin. Really no other family there with us. And I have to make the biggest decision of my life to sign a waiver for my wife to have TPA. So we went ahead with that, and obviously we're glad we did. And then he says too, by the way, he says the helicopter's on its way from Marshfield for Julie. So it seemed like a short time thereafter the helicopter got there. They prepared her, loaded her in the helicopter, and the medic from the helicopter, she had mentioned to me, she says, what's your cell phone number? She says, it's going to be a short flight to Marshfield. When we land, we'll call you and let you know that we got there.
The next thing I knew, I could hear a helicopter. And I could see all the stickers on the roof inside the helicopter and the window. When we landed in Marshfield, I was like, thanks for a good ride, a good flight. I actually talked. And then I remember feeling the sun on my face as they took me into the emergency room.
She started talking and moving her arm in the helicopter, which was really gratifying. So basically what that drug does, it goes in and knocks out an acute clot, dissolves it, and gets the blood going again. And it couldn't have worked any better.
It was a long ride for me. We were driving down Highway 13, and we were north of Medford yet, and my cell phone rang, and it was the medic lady from the helicopter. And she said, we've landed in Marshfield, and she said, Julie's talking. And I said, she's talking? She said, yeah, she's talking.
Everybody says, you don't want to be 40. And I thought, whatever. So I turned 40 in May. This was July 4th. And I was like, yeah, 40 does suck. I was very glad to be 41. The next thing I remember there is being in a room and having my Aunt Judy walked in the room, my sister walked in the room, and I recognized them and I talked to them. Well, in the meantime, my husband was 2 hours away at the campground yet, and my parents had driven up there, and they drove down to Marshfield. And I'm guessing it was a 2-hour ride, probably the longest ride of his life. But he gets to my room, And, I didn't know what he had all just been through. And he gets in my room and I said, "Who are you?"
"Who are you?" she says. So, and she's a big prankster, a big jokester. So, and she thought it was funny. She had no idea what she had just been through. And from there on out, everybody at Marshfield took very good care of her. Spent the first night in the hospital there with her in ICU. Remember getting woke up on the hour all the time, but that was a memorable event. But and outside of that, yes, just thankful for everybody that does what they do, and everybody at Marshfield too, for taking good care of my wife.
I think life pretty much went back to normal, just had to heal. My memory was all there. What was nice is that I was able to spend time with people that I normally wouldn't have been able to spend time with. It was a good time to catch up with people. Time goes by too fast.
We live a pretty fast-paced life. My mother passed away when she was 43 years old. Grandfather passed away when he was 56 years old. So I've come to the conclusion that we need to enjoy a few things in life. I think you need to do things today. You got to think about doing things within your means today.
Things that just aren't important. Don't stress over these little silly things that are just, it's not worth it. And I don't know if that came with the stroke or if it's coming with age. The older you get, the more you just like, that really doesn't matter. This is what matters. Cherish the friendships that you have and how lucky you are to be or to have what you have, and I don't know, it's crazy to think that I was in the right place at the right time. Thank God.